Hello, everyone. My name is Joanna Kowalewska, and I'm speaking today with Bhaskar Banerji. He is a dream ambassador and researcher that specializes in the dreams related to our health. And that's a subject very dear to me, and I'm very excited to talk about that. So, welcome, Bhaskar. I'm really happy that you are here today with me.
Thank you. Great to be here with you.
How did you got yourself into the dream world? Like what, when, how?
It started fairly early for me in life. I was living in England when I was a young boy, about 5, 6 years of age. And one of the things that boys in England like to do at school is they like to steal from each other. So they'll just steal things like pens and cricket balls and things like that. So I would dream who had stolen what and where it was, and I just go and retrieve it. So I realized that I had some kind of psychic ability in my dreams to find lost objects or stolen objects. And that got me interested because my parents were not very interested in dreams and didn't encourage talking about dreams and all that. But these sort of little minor psychic events began to catch my interest as a child.
Did you think, wow, that's strange or that's cool or like you were not sure if you can trust those hints? Because I can imagine as a child from one side, our imagination and our perception is very different to when we grow up. On the other hand, like, hey, are my colleagues' experiences, are my friends' experience the same thing? Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, as you said, as a child, you live in a more magical reality. And our
Yeah.
bubble is very different from the bubble that we have as an adult. So initially, it didn't seem all that strange to me. And I spent a lot of time in my imaginary world. I had some other actually quite pivotal dreams as a very young child at that same age. I remember having a dream one day where I went to heaven. And that was also a real anchor dream for me. And it was such a big experience because it was so vivid. And I was like, wow, heaven really does exist. So
Wow.
that's the sort of impression I got from having that dream because I was being taken around by this kind of angelic being and all the buildings were in a classical Greek style of architecture, just kind of odd. Considering I was living in England before that I lived in India, never really heard about Greece at all, but all the buildings were like Greek in
Yeah. And
architecture.
this is what I wanted to ask you. Like, how did heaven look to you? Because I would imagine that maybe depending on how you were brought up, the heaven or what religion or
Yeah.
tradition, the heaven would look different.
No,
So,
no, heaven looked wide, clean boulevards with beautiful white buildings with pillars in the Greek style. And there were a lot of people, maybe because I was a child, a lot of people looked very big from my perspective. And they looked beyond normal human size instead of being like the usual 5 to 6 foot inside. People were more like double that size. So some beings were definitely who were big. And also just, beings who kind of radiated light. But in general, people seemed happy in heaven. That was, I think, the main vibe was this is a happy, peaceful place.
I would imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful buildings and beautiful gardens. That was sort of my heaven that I went to. So yeah, so it's not an India heaven, even though I spent my first 3 years in India, then 3 more years down in England, but it didn't resemble India or England, which was very interesting, to me. And that's what made a big impression on me.
Yeah, I would also think so because many times we believe that maybe the metaphors or symbols or the representations, places we see in our dreams, they are kind of in accordance to what we were thought or
Yeah,
believe or we saw or we heard or experienced.
yeah,
But in that case, it really seemed like it came from completely different place, no?
yeah. Now, I was very interested in history even as a young child. I
Okay.
was very interested in ancient Egyptian, Roman history. Not Greek so much, more Egyptian and
Mm.
Roman, especially Roman history. I was very intrigued by Roman history. So some of that may have come from there because the Greek influence in Rome was big, especially architecturally. There's a lot of similarity in architecture. So some of it might have been drawn from there. But yeah, that was my trip to heaven dream that left a big impression on me as well.
And did you have someone to share those dreams with? Like, did you had a friend or someone that?
No,
Okay.
no, I just kept it to myself. In fact, it was the opposite for me in a way because my parents were a little concerned about me because I showed certain traits that were not normal as a child. The other thing I like to do a lot, I like to draw maps a lot as a child. I
Mm.
would go into these imaginary worlds and I would come out of them and draw maps representing them. And it drove my parents a little batty because they couldn't figure out why this child keeps drawing maps. They keep trying tearing up my maps, and I'd hide my maps, and find my maps, and tear them up. I'd make more, It just went on and
Wow.
on. So they're a little concerned about my imaginary life that I led. So they did everything to discourage me from having dreams and talking about dreams and things of
But
that
it
nature. So it was the
haven't
opposite.
discouraged you. Yeah, but it didn't.
It didn't work. No. And mainly because I had that one really pivotal dream when I was about nine years old, which I have mentioned many times before, but it's where I was sick for a month and I missed school. I had pneumonia, and the day I came back was the day of exams. I didn't know that because I'd been absent. I didn't know what exam was. I've never had an exam before. And I got the highest score on the exam, which got me in trouble. The headmaster called me into his office and said, you must have been cheating because you were gone for so long. How could you get the highest score? And I said, well, I did cheat, but not the way you think. I had a dream. And the dream, I went down the chimney of my headmaster, not headmaster, my schoolmaster's room.
Yeah.
And he was writing out all the questions and answers for the exams. I just like peeked over his shoulder and just memorized everything. So then the headmaster said, well, you must be the most creative liar I've ever talked to, or you're telling the truth.
Were you suspended or did you fail? Did he fail you
What they
again?
did was they checked the scores of all the other boys around me. They're all low scores. So they realized I couldn't have
Oh,
cheated. Then I
okay.
felt guilty. They gave me a trophy.
Wow. Wait, so do you think that was a dream, or would you say that it maybe was some sort of like out of body experience or some kind of like different kind of, I mean, depends how you define everything, but to me this sounds more like you were able to move through space and time in some way to see the actual principle writing those questions.
I didn't have any sensation of leaving my body from the physical,
Okay.
I didn't go from a waking state to out of body state. I went from dream state. I was just in the dream state, not even lucid. It was not a
Yeah.
lucid dream. But yeah, it's interesting. It had that characteristic of just kind of floating as if it were a lucid dream. But no, I was like a ghost in his room and just looking over his shoulder and just memorizing everything. And
Very
that's all it
interesting.
was. Yeah.
Also, the fact that you could actually remember so precisely the question, because I find it like sometimes it's hard to
Yeah.
remember very specific
Exactly.
information from the dream.
It
That's why I'm also
is.
saying
Right.
that to me, this seems like dream-like ish, but I don't know what was exactly this experience because it's very common for people to also see things or read things in the dream. And many times they can recall very small part of it because
Yeah.
of how some parts of our brain are online, offline. So
Yeah.
that's super
Yeah.
interesting what you're saying. Wow, really, really cool. And you say that this dream, like, it's sealed the deal for you. Like, okay, dreams
Yeah.
are something.
Well, it cracked reality for me, right? Because information from the future came to my assistance. So it was like all of a sudden I feel like, oh, I had this superpower. And
Yeah.
the reality is not what the adults are saying reality is. Adults are saying there's this linear space time, right? And that's not my experience. It's more like reality is like a block of Swiss cheese, all kinds of wormholes in it. So it was like and I did have a belief in God at the time. I was kind of God centric, a kid. So it was like God is showing something. That's what it
Mhm.
felt like to me. Pay attention. God really wants you to get this. This is a big experience. Don't listen to the adults. They only have half the story. There's more to life than what they're telling you.
I couldn't agree more. So, how did it unfold later? How did this connection to the dream or to this special gifts maybe that you had already as a child led
So what
you?
happened was actually interesting. I kind of went after going what I call 3 steps forward in life
Mm-hmm.
with this dream. I went 2 steps back
Okay.
in the sense that I was 9 when I had that dream experience. And when I was 10, we moved to the United States from England, and I really turned into a science buff for a few years.
Mm.
Really got interested in astronomy. I just loved astronomy. I thought I was going to become an astronomer when I grow up, as one of those kind of things. I had like this 3-year love affair with astronomy until I realized that you want to become an astronomer, you got to do a lot of math. I was like, okay, I'm done with astronomy. But what happened was my dreaming took a back seat as I embraced more science.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it wasn't until another big shift happened where I went from the US back to India when I was 13 that another spiritual kind of a shift happened in my
Mm.
life. And that's when I started to go back into dreaming more.
Okay.
And that was kind of influenced by, sort of reading books on Tibetan Buddhism and meeting a lot of people in India who were like big into meditation. And they started got me on that track. And so that started to once again shift my dreaming again. But I didn't have so many of these, very practical kind of dreams. I just started having like what I would call traveling to other dimensions type of dreams, a lot of that, traveling to other worlds, And that also opened my mind up in a different way. Once again, it was like there's more to reality than this physical world. I really got the sense there's just all these other worlds out
Mm.
there. I think it's a really strange world. I'll just tell you one, just to give your audience a bit of a flavor of what I'm talking about. I went to this one world where the beings in this world communicated strictly in math.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they could communicate anything we can communicate, but did everything through mathematical symbols,
Wow.
equations, and theorems. That was their language. That was their primary language way of communicating.
That's definitely not the world I come from.
That's not the
For
world.
me and not like I'm sure I come from some different place as well, but that's not it. That's not this one.
That's what might mean by going up in some really strange dimensions of reality or the metaverse, as we say. So those are the kind of experiences that I was having, really wild, fantastical all journeys to other planes and dimensions. And then again, I would say early college, the practical dreams started coming back.
Okay. And by
Right. So
practical, you mean like the dreams that actually, that the information
the
from the
dreams
dream
that
can be used in the waking life in some like specific way. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. A specific way. Yeah. So I'll give you another example of one where I was in this English literature class and this paper was due. And in our school, the policy was that every week your paper was late, you went down one grade automatically.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's very strict.
Yeah, very strict. And so I was really struggling with this one paper. It was about a book that I didn't like. It was, I can't remember. It's a book about all these young boys stranded on an island with pigs. I can't remember the name of the anymore now, but maybe it'll come to me later. And so I was really struggling to write a
Yeah.
paper on this book. And then one afternoon, I took a nap, and fell into a dream, and in the dream, I was in the author's head. I was in his psyche as he was writing the book. And I could see his stream of thought, what he was thinking, as he was putting together this book. Um, the book is Lord of the Flies. That's what the book was
Oh,
called.
okay.
And so I woke up and I just wrote the paper very quickly. And I got it. I got something to write. I wrote it down and I submitted it. And my professor showed up at my dorm in a room the next week with the paper. And he
Okay.
gave it to me, and it was an A plus.
Wow.
4 weeks later, it should have been a D automatically. He said, "I can't do that. I've got to give it A plus because this is an extraordinary paper. I've never seen anything like it in my life."
Did you tell him it came from the dream?
I told him, he said, "I have to know, how did you come up with this?"
Yeah.
I, he's been giving this assignment for years, so he's
Yeah.
read so
Yeah.
many papers on this topic.
Wow.
He's like, "This is totally original." And I was like, "Well," I said, "Yeah, I had this dream. I went into the author's psyche, and this is what he was thinking when he wrote the book."
Wow. This
And he
is,
said, "No, I wouldn't believe it from anybody else, but I do from you."
you are known as the strange, special guy.
The kooky dreamer.
Yeah, the guy that like knows stuff that he shouldn't have or stuff like that.
Right, right.
Wow,
Reputation.
that's very
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, from all this experience that you're sharing now, and you also
Yeah.
mentioned that the dreams they really like open up or help you understand some different perspective or like broaden your perspective on what is life, what is like dimension, like what is. So, how would you say that this? Because this is really interesting, like that through the dreaming, through having those experiences as the child, like who you became was really
Yeah.
affected by that, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because, I would say the test,
Mm,
the test that was presented to me in those critical developmental years of college, university, was that I would be given these dreams that would suggest a possibility, okay,
yeah,
an outcome, a possibility. And then it was almost like I was being baited. Are you going to go for that possibility or not? These were really wild out there possibilities.
yeah,
So I was being tested. Do I have the courage to follow the dream? And every time I followed the dream, amazing things would happen. But it was really a test because they were not easy things to follow.
yeah.
The instructions were very specific and required a lot of faith, a lot of risk taking to take that particular vision that was being outlined in the dream. But because I kept, I think, passing the tests, it really opened up a valve through which even more dreams started pouring through and more dream guidance started coming.
I think it's something very important that you mentioned that I also encourage people to try. It's like if someone doesn't have a lot of
Yeah,
experience and doesn't know how to
yeah,
trust their own dreams. So I always say that
yeah,
it's kind of like you say, it's a path that once you take your first step, it unfolds because
yeah,
once you trust your dream or the guidance that comes from your dream
yeah,
or wherever you
yeah.
could understand or feel from the
Okay.
dream, you
Yeah,
see the result, right? And once you see that it's taking you the right direction, it's easier to trust the next dream, even if it's
yeah,
bigger, even if it's asking more from you
yeah.
or
Totally.
more scary things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
So, would you like to share an example of something that you were asked or you were shown the possibility from a dream that you said, okay, hell yeah, I'm doing it, but you were scared or unsure or something like that?
Yeah, I can give you many examples. I'll choose one that required some risk involved. I think I was in my second year in college, and I had plans for the summer. I was going to go work in New York at this holistic retreat center.
Mhm.
So I'd already applied for a job. I got a job there. Everything was set. And then also I had a dream. And in the dream, I knocked on the door of this mansion in the forest by a lake. And the woman who answered it was Carl Jung's wife. Okay. And we immediately started talking in French. I had studied some French, but I was not fluent in the language. But
Yeah.
the dream, we're fluently talking in French. And I told her, look, I'm a little lost. And I'm looking for New York. I'm trying to get to New York where I had this job waiting for me. And I pulled out a map. And she's like, oh, no, you're going in the wrong direction. You're supposed to go to LA. And
Oh,
your ride is coming on this day. She gave me a specific date that my ride is
okay.
coming. Was the last day of the month. Okay. And she said, get ready, young man. Left out of that. That was at the end of the dream, right? So I was like, oh, now what am I going to do? I've already got this job that I've interviewed for and been accepted for in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
But now the dream maker is going, no, you're supposed to go in the other direction to LA. And there's a ride coming, right? So it didn't say hop on a plane and go to LA or drive myself to LA. It said there's a ride coming. Okay. So I started, okay, I'm going to follow the dream. So I quit my job at a job at a time, quit my job. I gave notice to my landlord saying I'm moving out end of the month. I've got just
That's bold.
trust me, right? The last day of the month comes and still no ride,
No ride and no job and no house. Okay.
no job, and no. I'm walking down the street in my college town, and I run into like an old acquaintance of mine, not even a friend, an acquaintance,
Yeah.
someone I maybe talked to a couple times here and there. And we talk for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we start walking away from each other. And I suddenly thought to myself, he said he was leaving town. So maybe I should turn around and get his apartment. At least I have a place to live tomorrow and a place to stay. I ran back and grabbed him and said, hey, can I rent your place while you're gone? He said, no, why do you want to do that for? Why don't you just come with me? I'm going to LA.
No
And
way.
I'm,
I
deli-
mean,
I'm
yes way,
delivering
but
I'm delivering a car there. So it's a free ride. I was like, you're kidding me. And because beyond that, you should just stay with me because I'll be at my parents'. We're just 2 blocks from the beach in Santa Monica. You can stay for free, however long you want to. I was like, "Hey, there's my ride, my trip. It's free." And, and it was this beautiful convertible sports car that we drove all the way across the country both for free.
That's so awesome. Wow. And it was
Pretty
really
much.
like a leap of faith on your side.
Yeah, a big leap of faith.
Did you have some doubts or thinking, wow, maybe this just not gonna this time work out? Or were you like, no, no, it's happening?
Sure.
Or
You know, we're always having to contend with that right brain, left brain
yeah,
voices, right?
yeah, yeah.
The left brain being more rational, going, "Hey, you're being really foolish here. What are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. This is crazy." And then the right brain going, "We've been here before. It's worked out. Just trust. Trust the process.
Wow.
Enjoy the adventure."
That's incredible, really.
And the good thing is that each time a person embarks on one of these trust episodes, dream episodes, after it works through, you gain confidence, right, for the next round.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can look back in your life and say, okay, it's worked out now a half dozen times. I think it'll work out again. It's those first couple of times that are the hardest, right? Because you don't have the history
Yes.
to fall back on and quiet that left brain that's, starting to like scream at you going,
Okay.
watch out.
I feel that there is also like a little trap in here, and maybe especially for people that are not used to working with their dreams or they are
Yeah,
not so connected to this space, is that many times dream speaks in metaphors or symbols. And
sure,
so,
sure.
so
Yeah,
how would you say that you personally recognize, or back then or now, that what is like a metaphor, a symbol, representation of something that wants to be
yeah,
communicated with you, and when is the actual instruction? Because I think it can be
yeah.
confusing for people. Like they can say, okay, so I dreamt I need to leave my husband and go to, wherever, Peru, and they're going to do that. And maybe that's not necessarily what the dream meant.
There's a bit of trial and error with this.
Yeah.
Right? It was a little different for me because I didn't really grow up completely in the Western tradition.
Mm,
So for me, my first, 15 years of dreaming, I just enjoyed my dreams. I didn't really try to interpret my dreams that much. I wasn't into interpretation. I was having these nightly adventures. It's like going to the movies. It
yeah.
was entertainment more than anything else. Sometimes scary entertainment, but still entertainment. It wasn't really until later in life, in 20s and 30s, that I became aware of the Western tradition of dream interpretation. And then I got more into the whole metaphors and symbolic messaging in dreams that became stronger for me.
Yeah.
Even though it was always there, it was balanced out by this idea of looking at it at both levels, looking at the dream metaphorically, but also literally.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that is the best approach, is to always look at the dreams from multiple standpoints. Look at it as a metaphor, look at it literally, but also, is it just about me, or is it about the world at large? Who else could this be about? Is it, maybe it's a message for a friend, for some family member? Ask those questions and look at it from those perspectives as well. Over time, you build confidence.
Definitely confidence comes with the time. I also feel like with the dreams, it's just like layers, as you said, right? There is the literal layers. I'm asking myself, is what happened in the
Yeah.
dream representing something for me that's in the literal way? And then we can go to symbolic, and then we can go to working with the parts, like that everything or place, it's just representing
Yeah.
a part of you. And also collectively, it can also be a dream for the collective. But yes, I also believe that it comes with the practice, and it's very individual. And sometimes when someone asks me like, but how do I know that this is the prophetic, or that this is the guidance and this is the symbol? So uh, th- yeah, it's just you need to, do the work for you to really know for yourself, because I don't think anyone can say, oh, this dream is only metaphor, and this dream for sure it tells you like what to do, for example, or not to do.
It's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's a relationship with your own psyche that you have to develop. And like you said, it is personal. Sure, there might be similarities. Like, seems like you and I both look at things on multiple levels. We've come to that understanding. But there might be things that are unique to each of us. So for like myself, if I wake up from a dream and I'm trembling, I know to take that dream literally.
Hmm. Well, that
Okay.
happens to you too, this trembling thing, because I
Not
have.
very often.
Yeah, I
But
have it
but
sometimes, like the I wake up and I am all
yeah.
like there is like literally like energy. I don't know. I have like this my body is shaking, and sometimes I really don't know what to do with that. So you say that for you, it's like,
Especially if I'm shaking with fear. I should make that clear,
yeah,
right?
okay,
They can be trembling and it might not be fear-based, might be something else. If I'm shaking with fear, then I know take that dream literally, don't even question it, just go with it.
yeah.
Just learn the hard way that that's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very interesting because as we are talking about it, that it's super individual. So it
Yeah.
can be like
Yeah.
different thing for different person. But I think the bottom line here is once you know, like you get to have the relationship, as you said, with your dream.
Another like very personal sign for me is like if I see somebody in a dream today that I've never met before, and I see them tomorrow in waking life, I know that person I have a past life connection with.
Mm.
That's another thing that's come up for me, like a multiple past life connections with if that kind of scenario full.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Okay, and how did your interest in health related dreams started? Because I know you did a lot of research, you spoke about it on different conferences, like it's something that you are really familiar with and did a lot of like interviews with people and so on. So how did that start? Why this area of dreams got your interest?
That also started with a personal experience.
Mhm.
I was in my mid 30s doing my master's. My partner at the time got really sick. I was taking care of her, neglected my own health. And one day I woke up with a massive inflammation on the right side of my face, my jaw. And it was a Friday, so I kept calling around dentists. They're all getting ready for the weekend. No one has appointments. You got to wait till Monday. In the meantime, the painkillers are wearing off, and I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do? How am I going to live with 2.5 days of this intense
Yeah.
pain shooting up the side of my face and head? And I remembered a line I read in Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. We were reading it for one of my classes. And he said that when you're confronted with intense pain, be it emotional or physical pain, instead of trying to push that pain away, do the opposite,
Mm.
embrace that pain. So I thought, okay, I have nothing else to do right now. Let's try that. Let's see what happens with that. So I sat myself in an armchair and I started to sink into that pain. And it just got more and more intense until finally I just passed out. Didn't take long, actually, probably 10 minutes I was out. I just like became unconscious. And when I did, I found myself in this dream space where I was in like outer space, still sitting in that same chair. And all of a sudden, this Dakini comes into my field of vision. And Dakini is a celestial dancer with healing powers in the
Oh,
Buddhist Hindu tradition.
okay.
And she came, she sat in my lap, she started kissing me. And with each kiss, she extracted some of the pain from my mouth
Wow.
until it was all gone. And then I woke up. And my first thought was, I must be dreaming. There's no way this is possible. I was in so much pain. I was like, how could it go away like that? It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make
I
any
did a
sense.
reality check. It
Yeah.
didn't make any sense. I did a reality check. I grabbed my nose.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You thought you maybe are still dreaming, right? Like it's false awakening or
yeah,
something?
I know the false awakening.
Yeah.
But I couldn't breathe, so I knew I wasn't dreaming. Then I ran to the bathroom. I want to see what happened inside my mouth. So and my gums looked normal. And what happened was all the pus that was in the gums had drained into like a sack underneath my chin. That looked like one of those hens, where the hens have that sack underneath it. So
Yeah, yeah.
chickens have. Looked like I had one of those chicken sacks, and it all drained into there. From
Wow.
there, it was drained down my throat into my stomach and out my
And
system.
out.
Um, so there was no more pressure on the nerve endings
Yes.
in my
That
gums.
caused the
No more
pain.
pain.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was like, began to ask myself, have other people also had experiences like this? And that's what began my research in health and dreams.
Besides your incredible experience, what were the most incredible, maybe, or unique stories on scenarios that you heard during your research? What did you find out when you started to speak with people about that?
Well, I actually didn't start with people. I just started with Google. I just started Googling
Okay.
healing
Okay.
dreams. And what came up was the the classical ancient Greek tradition, the Asclepian tradition, right? Because the Greeks are really into this. They had actually at one point built 400 temples around the Mediterranean where people would go to incubate healing dreams.
Yeah.
This is a big part of their healthcare in a
Yeah.
sense. First, if you were living in classical Greek times and you had some kind of problem, you'd first go to the bone setters, then go to the herbalists. And they couldn't fix your problem, they couldn't fix it. Then you go to the dream temple
Yeah.
and incubate a healing dream. You try to get the god Asclepius to come into your dream. He was a dream healing god and come and actually cure you in the dream. So their approach is actually similar to my experience, where I had a Dakini come in and heal
Yeah.
me, and they would have the god Asclepius come in and heal them. So that was interesting to me. And then as I studied more, I found out that tradition was then adopted by the Romans, but it changed with the Romans.
Of course.
Whereas the Greeks had most of their healings happen within the dream state, for the Romans, they received prescriptions from Asclepius. Then they would go follow the prescription.
Oh.
There was a big shift from completely
Yeah.
internal
Yeah.
experience, now a bridge experience between dreaming and waking reality.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from your experience besides this dream, have you ever received prescription in a dream?
The once I had that main decade, from there on, I started getting health guidance dreams for the rest of my life, basically, till this very day.
Yes.
That's in my dreams about health. So yeah, lots of prescriptions and whatnot. Yeah. So for example, one of my favorite stories is a dream where the time in my life where I was eating a lot of burgers. I was eating
Oopsie.
burgers like every night. I was eating a burger for dinner. It came that, and then I had this very interesting dream one night where I find myself back in a farmhouse. Lovely, lovely pasture, these beautiful cows nibbling on the grass. There's a barbecue going on. And of course, I go and grab a burger. And when I put that burger in my mouth, it turns into a cow patty.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yuck. I threw the burger away.
Uh-huh.
Then I woke up and of course I Googled, what do you call it? Ground beef, which is what you use to
Yeah.
make
Yeah. Yeah.
burgers with. And to my astonishment, what I read really caught my attention. What I found out was that because of the way we kill and process cows, a lot of fecal matter ends up in ground beef.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the dream wasn't just being figurative, it was literally saying, you're eating shit. Stop eating this stuff.
Okay. So very important question now. Did you listen?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah, yeah. I stopped right away.
Wow.
Of course, I still like burgers, but yeah, no, it definitely changed. And like I said, I had many of those after the Dakini dream. Just simple guidance. Stop eating this. Start eating this. And what's interesting also is I had a lot of them were like I said, diet related, food related.
Yes. Yes.
When I did my research, when I did my PhD research, that also came through with the people that were in my study. About 55% of the health related dreams were food related.
Yes. I think I will be part of this group because for me, when I dream of specific food items, I know that most of the time it's or to eat or not to eat the specific thing,
Yes.
And don't ask me how I know. It's like if someone asks me, why don't you think it's metaphor? Maybe, but there is something about the way for me specifically I dream about food.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
I wake up with the knowing, oh, okay, there was nuts and there were lentils and there was something I should stop eating, right? So it's like this knowing from the connection that I already have to my dreams is that I don't need to question myself. Like it's no brainer for me. It became like, yeah, of course, like I just need to eat more of this or that. But because of the quality of the dream. But it's very, very interesting that you said 50-something% of people like have this experience. It's a very big number of people.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
I would, recommend people to examine the sentiment of the dream when they have food in their dreams. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is going on in the dream? Is it a positive, uplifting sentiment? or is
Mm.
it a spiraling downward, nightmarish kind of sentiment? And based on that, they could usually tell whether where it's encouraging or discouraging us to eat that particular item.
Yeah, I think also like if you combine what you dreamt about with your intuition, it's even
Yeah,
easier because many
yeah,
times those are things that we know
sure.
subconsciously. Like, I'm sure you knew, hey, maybe having burger every single night, it's not good for you.
Not a
I'm
good
sure you
idea.
knew that.
Sure.
You're a smart man. But then the
Yeah.
message needs to come also through a different means to maybe land. And this was very like graphical.
Yes, part of me knew that. You're right. Part of me knew that. But you see, I didn't know about the fecal
Right.
matter in the
Yes.
ground. That part was
Yes.
missing, right?
Yes.
Had I known that beforehand, I would have stayed away to start with, right?
Yeah.
There's a missing piece of information that was very key to getting me to change my habit.
Yes, because sometimes it's just a perspective or an angle that we are not aware of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
helps making hard decision easier. And I find that dreams, they have this ability of helping us sometimes make choices, decision changes that may be very hard for us to do because they deliver some perspective information, as you said, to us that suddenly it's like, okay, it's not a joke anymore. I'm
right,
doing it,
exactly.
or I'm not
Right.
doing it.
And once again, following the guidance is so key, right? And I'm sure you seem like you follow the guidance, and therefore you get more of these kinds of dreams. And that's essential.
I think like with everything in life, if you
Yeah,
ignore a friend and you just don't
yeah,
answer them when they call you
no,
and you just never hang out with them or enjoy
yeah,
anything, so they
yeah,
will stop being
yeah,
your friends. I feel like you said, like
totally.
how you
Yeah.
call it, that it's a relationship.
Yeah, yeah. It's a dream relationship. Well, I think it was a relationship with the dream maker. To me, the dream maker is almost like some kind of a entity and a part of my inner self, or
Okay.
I don't know exactly, what it is, but I do feel like there is some kind of an entity that I label the dream maker. And I say that because like even like once again in my study, the one I did, I took like about 100 people on this journey, this 6-week journey, um, to discover more about their health related dreams. And it was interesting. There were certain instances where the dream maker would say, you can't fix this through a dream. You need to go and get actual medical treatment
Mm.
from a physical doctor, right? The dream. So there was this intelligence that was aware of what was possible to fix with dreams and what's not possible to fix with dreams. And it was very objective. It's not like this biased entity saying, oh, everything can be fixed through dreams. Not at
Yeah.
all. It's like saying, this can, that can.
I will share with you a dream that I think you'll find interesting. So
Yeah.
I had this dream. I was going for a test, and the night before the test, I dreamed that I am in the place where the test takes place and that I'm being called. The doctor is there, and they start to ask me like all these questions, your name, your history, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, but I already been here. You should have this information on file. And he's like, okay, and take my file and looks through my file and says to me, oh no, something is not right here. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay. And she says, the previous doctor that checked you missed something. Okay.
Mm.
And
Okay.
the dream ends that I'm with my phone trying to take pictures of the
Yeah.
papers, trying to understand what did the previous doctor miss and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then I wake up and I'm like, okay, let's see. My last test, they came out okay. My doctor told me that everything was okay, but the dream is telling me that my doctor missed something. So let's see what's going to happen. So I go to the appointment and I am attended by a different doctor, not by the doctor that attended me the previous time. And the test goes and it's like, okay, everything is fine. Everything looks fine, but let me just check it again on the computer. Like let me just, I
Right.
just want to put it on the big screen. Just wanna look that
Yeah.
everything's fine, but everything seems fine. I'm just like, getting dressed, waiting for him to call me to the other room. And then he calls me to the other room and he says, on this test, like everything looks fine, but actually your other doctor missed something,
That's
and
something. Yeah.
sitting there. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. It
Right.
played out exactly as the dream said.
Yeah.
And then after that, after this dream, after this experience, I was
Mhm.
asking myself, like, why did I receive this dream? Because I got the same information also in the waking life. So I
Yeah.
was aware, like, I was able to take action and to take proper
Yeah.
steps and so on and so on. And that occurred to me, and I would like to hear what do you think about that, is that
Yeah.
maybe there was also a possibility or a scenario that this
Yeah.
doctor wouldn't see, wouldn't see what the other doctor missed. But
Right.
then I had this information from the dream that
Yeah.
maybe I need to ask to check again or persist. And knowing myself, I would, because when something like that come to me in the dream, like I don't leave it unattended. Because I was a
Right.
bit confused because it was kind of like the dream
Yeah.
told me what will happen and it happened. But what?
Yeah.
So I would love to like hear your take on that.
I think you're
Yeah.
right because it's like a backup just in case you didn't get that information, then you could follow up and make sure that the right thing needed to happen.
Yeah. So it felt like that to me as well. And also, obviously, I didn't have any doubt about maybe because I didn't think, oh, maybe this doctor is wrong and the previous doctor was right. Like, it didn't even occur to me because of the dream that I had. I was like, yeah, like it seems like
Yeah.
you are onto something that the previous person missed. So that was very, very interesting. And again, it's like, I believe that I got this dream because I've been paying such a close attention to my dreams and I've
Sure.
been acting on my
Sure.
dreams and I don't disregard them. And this is also always what I'm saying to people is like when it's about health, especially, but also relationship and other stuff. But like when it's about health, like don't leave it unattended because there can be a lot at stake, no?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when I think about we have access to this nightly therapy,
Yes.
this nightly guidance. It's free. The dream maker doesn't send us a bill in the mail saying, here's $1,000 bill for that one. And yet most people are ignoring it.
Yeah, I know.
It's a shame to me because it's just there to make our lives easier. And it doesn't really take that much to avail ourselves off that guidance information. I mean, you keep a dream journal, I keep a dream journal. Looking at those dreams, mulling over them, it's something you can do while you're sitting on the toilet or taking a shower or driving down the road. You don't have to really, you don't have to, make a lot of separate time for it. Kind of do it as you're doing other things in your life, taking a walk. But the information is just invaluable. The
Yeah.
insights are invaluable.
Yeah. And that's why we need more dream ambassadors like you, Bhaskar.
That's what I'm here for, to
Yeah.
spread the gospel of dreaming.
Yeah, me too. I could just talk about it endlessly because I have this feeling like sometimes something is so obvious for you and it seems like nobody else see it. As you said, it's free. It happens to everyone. Like it doesn't depend on where you grow up, what's your gender, what's your religion. Like you can do it. And I love this about dream work that it's so inclusive. It doesn't ask you to change anything, to believe in anything, whether you believe in maker or you believe that it's God that sent it to you or believe that it's
Right.
your own soul talking, like
Yeah.
it's absolutely irrelevant. As long as you think there may be something valuable
Yeah.
there for you, for your growth, for your life, for your decision making.
I've received a lot of what I say career advice from my dreams. Almost every major job change has
Mhm.
come about because of a dream. So about a year or two ago, my dream started saying, organize conferences. I used to be a conference organizer, decades ago. And the
Yeah.
dreams were saying, go back to organizing conferences. That's what you need to do now. So as you know, I've been organizing dream conferences around the planet. We did one in India, and I'm planning one in Greece. Next August, we're going to have a dream conference that kind of focuses on prophecy and precognition. It's going to be in Delphi, which used to be the seat of the oracle
Yeah.
for, 1500 years. The Greek oracle, known as the Pythia, was a woman who, people came to from all over Europe to seek guidance, about all kinds of matters, not just personal matters, but matters of the state. Rulers, made decisions about going to war based on what the Pythia would tell them. So it's a major place of oracular knowledge and dreaming that's been around for, a few thousand years now. And so we're going to have this conference at Delphi, and we're going to focus on precognitive dreams and prophetic dreams. So if you're interested in that kind of topic or want to enhance your skills around that particular vein of dreaming, I encourage you to come check it out. And it'd be a great place to network with other dreamers, other like-minded dreamers, and learn more about precognition and dreams.
And any last words of advice to maybe someone that it's in some sort of like a health crisis and is trying to understand how dreams can help them in this situation?
It all starts with, first to start recording your dreams, right? Keep some kind of a dream journal, because if you don't remember the dreams, can't make use of the information. So start with that. And then just as you're going to sleep, do something to clear your mind first and get a little bit more in your body. I often recommend people do some progressive relaxation
Yeah.
kind of technique, breathing, tightening your muscles and then letting go, doing that maybe 5, 6 times to ease into the body a little bit more. And then just present a question to your dreaming mind about your health. You can frame it in many ways, but keep it simple. What should I do to improve my health? A question like that. Or why am I having this condition? Keep it simple and just incubate that. Don't do it every night. Maybe do it every other night and do it for a week or so and see what happens. See what kind of dreams come up. See what kind of guidance comes up in the dreams. And if you can't decipher that guidance on your own, then find a therapist in your area, someone who's maybe studied the Jungian system, a Jungian therapist, dream therapist. They're around these days. There's plenty of them everywhere. And set up a session and get some help. If you need that, if you need that from a professional, by all means seek that out. And if you have enough knowledge yourself, then that's fine. But the main thing is to keep that dream journal so you can actually collect some dreams and work with them. And I'm sure you
Amen.
have some suggestions too. So maybe you want to add on to that some way.
Yeah, I would also say like always just ask yourself first, like, how does it feel for you to have this dream and what's your first association or yeah, connection, whatever it is, how, maybe something very irrational or like something that pops up in your head that you say like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but don't dismiss those kind of information or flashes or connections, because I feel that many times it can be something that doesn't make any sense at the beginning, but later it kind of starts to make sense. And also like when using any tools, like other external tools, like even other people, always remember that eventually it's your own psyche and it's your own symbols. And to take everyone's, I would even say, even as a dream worker, say like always take my whatever I'm saying through your own perspective, because I believe that no one else really knows what things mean to you, for you. They can help you arrive there, like you said, like questions
Yeah.
or therapists or even ChatGPT. They can spark some interesting ideas. But
Yeah.
eventually, it's for me, it's about coming back to yourself and to really feeling what resonates with you and
Totally.
act from there. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
thanks
Agree
so
100%.
much,
Thank
Bhaskar,
you
for
too.
taking time to share your wisdom. And I'm also looking forward to the amazing Greece Dream Conference.
Yes. We'll see you there.